Hi everybody, this is All Things Cheryl here, basically here to do another review in the new cap on episode 6 and 7 of the Real Black Chyna. So, we find out that Real Black Chyna went on to Wandy Williams' show. And actually, the interview that she did with Wandy Williams' show basically went pretty good. But we know that it was basically hell on wheels to basically get Black Chyna to uh, do this interview. And I don't blame Freshie. I would have been probably up in arms also too if you give her a particular time and a set time and you basically wind up getting there late. They got there a little bit late, but kind of sort of on time. But still, the point of the matter is that uh, I believe that all of this could have really been avoided if Austin, her personal assistant, didn't wake her up so early. He woke her up at 6 o'clock, and they weren't supposed to be on the Williams show until 11:30. But before we find out that she wasn't supposed to be there on set in New York until 11:30. But in some sense, it probably was good. I don't think Austin should have woke her up at 6 o'clock because basically if he knows his client, he should know that she's not really a morning person. But I guess the reason why he woke her up so early so they can basically get there on time. And they still wind up getting there late. And the reason why they take so much, wind up always, it seems now, Black Chyna says that she likes to be on time. But from what I can see and what I have been observing so far in the Real Black Chyna, it seems that the majority of her time is basically spent on uh, hair and makeup. They spend at least 30 minutes on hair and makeup. So in my mind, I believe that we need to kind of schedule that time in a little bit more with a hair, face, what's that? Hair, face, and makeup. I'm not really a makeup person or makeup artist, but if it's going to take you 30 minutes and plus we got to deal with the wig, then we got to deal with the makeup. If it's going to take you, in my opinion, if it's going to take you 30 minutes, almost close to like a half an hour to get you ready, then at some point by Austin waking her up at 6 o'clock, I would say okay, and they still wind up being late. Now, let's talk about the team. Now, the team is basically she has an all male team, and we're gonna exclude Treasurer because she's not really a part of the team, but she moves as if she is a part of the team. Um, and of course, Black Chyna is the brand, and so we have to make sure that the brand is, I'm gonna say, uh, pretty good because without the brand there would be no team and there would be no Black Chyna. And so looking in and looking at the assembly of the team, I think she has a real good team. Um, but it seems that when I saw And episode was this. This is episode 6 and 7. So when I saw in episode 5, when she was trying to assemble the team, and everybody had their titles as to and their assignments. It looks and it seems to me the friend. I'm just gonna say the friend. Um, says that she understands Black China. Says that she knows her. She knows her. In other words, she knows her ins and outs. And if anybody knows her better than the friend does. And we know who the friend is. We just go ahead and say Treasure. Treasure title. Now, I don't think that in 6 and 7, no, in 6 and 7, in 5, the majority of the time was basically spent on the questions. Spent on the questions and how long it's going to take um, to get to point A to point B. That was in episode 5. I mean, in episode 5, episode 5 was very, very hard for me to basically watch. In episode 6, um, it was the completion of getting to New York. Basically, I don't really feel that Treasure really fits in. She doesn't. She's not. It's not really. It's not a good fit. She doesn't really fit in with uh, all three of the men that are basically there. Not to say that she is or she can't. She just doesn't give me that energy. She doesn't give me that sincere. Now let's get on with okay, that's 6. Now 7, to me, 7 was one of the best episodes uh thus so far. And the reason why I said it was the best episode thus so far, we saw a manager who's managing a client who is basically concerned with the client, and we're talking about Jamal. Jamal manages manages Black China, and he is really, really concerned about the relationship of Black China and Tokyo Tony. We saw him actually step up to the plate and um, actually tell Black China that she needs to be on time. And we saw that when the manager was telling his client that she needs to be on time, he was basically correct, because she does need to be on time. And right now they're still on tour. They're just coming from New York, and now the team has assembled again, and they are getting ready to go to the ATL. And in the ATL, there are two events that Black China basically has to do, and they are basically talking about now. What made this, and it's just my opinion now, what made this particular episode much better than all of the other episodes is that everybody in somewhat was very cohesive, and somewhat everybody was in tune. Now, Was there a person absent from the team? Absolutely, it was. And that particular person, we know who that particular person was. And I don't know if she's a part of the team. I don't know if she's no longer doing the Real Black Chyna. I do know, and I have seen in other blogs and other stories that Treasure is basically doing a Tokyo Tony. Basically, she is getting on her social media, and she is basically 1 minute she's up and 1 minute she's down, but really we're concentrating this time on the team and how the team was very, very on target. Now, when we see um, Black China, we see Black China is basically preparing again, and once again we're looking at the hair and the face being prepared. Now, in my opinion, I feel that uh, 30 minutes, it looks like it's taking Black China not 30 minutes to get prepared with hair and face. It's really taking her an hour. If we really, really look at it, it's really taking her an hour to actually get her face and get her hair uh, just as she wanted. She's a a perfectionist. Yes, she's a perfectionist. So there's a certain way that she wants to, presents herself. And so we get into the episode 7, and we find out that Tokyo Tony has basically put a message out on her social platform stating that she wants to meet her daughter, and she wants to see her daughter. And so while the team is basically, going over their itinerary, the manager basically shows uh, Black China the message. And Black China was basically kind of snippety about it, kind of smart about it. But uh, so Jamal, in his own way, uh, made the wishes of Tokyo Tony to basically come true. And how he went about in doing that, uh, he went and invited Black China, Tokyo Tony, to join them at this roller skating party that Black China and him was basically hosting. He said he sold a lot of tickets, and a lot of people are there that are basically coming from various states. And some stated that if Black China is not going to be there for like 2 or 3 minutes or so, that he didn't really want to be there. And so while the team was assembling, and while everybody was trying to get her prepared, Jamal was busily in the background having Tokyo Tony to come down in Atlanta. And so we see that uh, Black China has two events that she has to attend. One is Wild and Out, and the other one is the roller skating, basically the roller skating party. And the name of the episode is I didn't write it down, but it's basically about a roller skating party. And so we see that um, Jamal has arranged for um, Black Tokyo Tony and him to basically meet up at a pastry store. A pastry store. The pastry looked very, very good. And there we see where Jamal is, he's very, very nervous due to the fact of why he's very nervous because he has never officially met Tokyo Tony face to face. And so, of course, he's nervous about inviting uh, Tokyo Tony down because of all of the things that she has basically said on her platform. And so, he was kind of, not sure of it, but and he didn't think that Tokyo Tony was going to show up, but she did show up, and he was basically surprised. So, in Tokyo Tony's fashion, she basically sat down and began to listen to what Jamal had to say. And she really wanted to know what the deal, what the intent and purpose was for her. And so Jamal just said, look, I hear that you will have some issues, you having some issues and challenges with your daughter. And I basically, want you all to, kind of straighten it out. And of course, um, at first, Tokyo Tony was apprehensive because she didn't know exactly, what his intent and purpose. But like she said, the more she began to talk to Jamal, the more she felt comfortable in letting him know exactly how she was feeling and why she was feeling and what she was feeling when it came to her best friend, which is Treasure. And so we went on and we find out that Treasure is basically not with the team as far as with this particular tour. We know that she was with the tour in New York, but she's not with the tour in the ATL. And so we go on and we see that Black China has a friend that's basically was at living in California, but she relocated to the ATL, and I think her name was Lynn or Lauren. And we find out that this particular friend that Black China basically knows, she's been knowing her for well over 7 years. So Black China took the opportunity to basically go and to see her friend. One reason why is it that her friend had just had a baby, so she really wanted to go and to see how her friend was going. To see how her friend was doing and actually see the baby. Now, in observing the position and observing how Black China was, her body language was around this particular young lady. This particular Lynn or Lauren or whatever her name was, she seemed to me that she was more so really grounded. She seemed to me that she was a good person, that basically Black China has befriended, and they've been knowing each other for 7 years. And actually, Black China lost time while she was with this young lady. She basically invited her, to basically come to the roller skating party, but the young lady declined and she turned it down. And the reason why she declined and she turned it down is because she said that she would love to be there, but she needs to be with her daughter. And I was like, that's very, very good. And so Black China went on and basically told her friend exactly what was going on with her. And of course, it's always the issue of how is your mother doing. And so Black China basically went on and told her what some of the issues and challenges was, and that the fact that everybody is trying to tell her what she need to do and what what's going on with her and her mother. But Black Taylor basically said that eventually they will get through. So Black China leaves and she tells her that she has to leave, and yes, she was very, very comfortable, and the energy between those two seemed like they were very, very, it was a good energy between those two. And so we go on, and then we see that Black China is on her way to the Wild 'N Out. Now, she did the Wild 'N Out basically in New York, and so this is not the first time that she would do the Wild 'N Out. And so we find out after she visits a friend and she goes and she does the Wild 'N Out, we find out she wins the belt in Wild 'N Out. And so Austin and her and Freshie, which is everybody is basically there with the exception of Jamal, because basically Jamal is secretly putting together a surprise and having Black China's mother flew in from DC or Hollywood, one of the two. So um, we know that Angela has no idea as to what is happening, because they were on their way back to the Wild 'N Out. And once again, I'm saying, once again, I see that Jamal is basically telling Angela that she needs to be basically on time. And so, for some odd reason, Angela has an issue with authority. She really doesn't like for people to tell her what to do, and although she hired someone to basically put her, uh, she hired a team to basically put her brand at the top, but yet and still she doesn't really want to hear basically what the brand, the team has to tell her in order to make a fine tuning automobile run properly. So she gets a little bit annoyed when Jamal said you need to be here on time, and so of course she's bucking authority and said that she'll get there, but right now she's hungry. So once again, here we go with time. Time management is of the essence, and even though Black China says she's on time, but really you're not on time. Uh, but I'm assuming that that is something that you are going to learn as you go along and as you grow within your career. Uh, and so the next stop is at the roller skating. And now we see that everybody is basically doing very well. They're all happy and all hunky dory and everything. And then we see, we see Black China, we see Tokyo Tony basically getting out of the van or whatever she was riding in, and we see that Jamal has Tokyo Tony and Freshie, Jamal, Freshie, and Austin. And Austin is basically, he's nervous to all get out because he felt that um, Jamal was doing a little bit too much by flying Tokyo Tony in, because they know the habits of the behavior of Tokyo Tony. I think she's personally, in my opinion, I believe she could be a manic depression, but we don't know. But I'm hoping that they do seek out help. So we see that Tokyo comes in and actually it worked out very well. She was Black China was glad to see her mother. We saw a little bit of tears. She kind of sort of didn't want to show the expression, but we saw a little bit of tears and everything. And the people at the arena was very happy. They took pictures and all of the 9 yards. And so we go on and we see a little bit more bonding of Black China and her mother. And basically, Black China, Tokyo Tony said that she wanted to talk to her daughter, separate from the skating rink. So they went somewhere and they had sat down and they had a conversation. And the conversation went as if uh, they know that both of them know that they need to really sit down and hash out some of the things and issues that's going on with the both of them. Now, I noticed something about Black Tony, in my opinion. Black Tony is almost 60 years old, and some of the things that Black Tony basically does is that she wants to stay old school. And in my opinion, and I can say this, uh, old school has its place. Old school, the definition is things to remain the same. Things to remain the same. And things cannot remain the same, especially if you are a mover and a shaker, a, a person who basically makes things happen, in my opinion. And that's so, from what I've seen thus so far, Black China, no matter how she gets things moving, she is a mover and a shaker. The things that she does to basically, provide for her family. And for some reason, in my opinion, Tokyo Tony wants time to stand still. And time cannot stand still due to the fact that we are in the 21st century. And therefore, while we're in the 21st century, that means that things will move and things will not stay the same. And so I say this is because I'm like 65 years old, and me looking at uh, Tokyo Tony, I can see that there is some issues and challenges, and I can see that even Tokyo said it herself, that she has some bottled up uh, stress, some bottled up things that, excuse me, that she basically been holding in for quite some time. So, in my opinion, episode 7 was basically one of the best episodes thus so far. And from the previews of from what we are getting ready to see in episode 8, this is where the work will begin. This is where the challenge will begin with both of these women who want to somewhat, I believe it is Black China, who basically wants to break the cycle. And when I say break the cycle, she wants to be able to communicate or come to some type of conclusion where her and her mother can basically get along. In my opinion, and somewhat, Tokyo Tony is a product that's basically coming from mother, and that's going to be very interesting when the therapist gets ready to sit down and have a conversation with the both of them. It's I'm looking forward to episode 8. Until the next time, Tokyo and Black China and all of the team, Freshie, I hope that you guys basically get it together. And from what I understand, you all have signed on for season 2. Many more success, and I shall see you all in episode 8. Till the next time, this is All Things Cheryl. Peace and love. And remember, love is for everyone. And be kind and be humble. And I shall see those of you all who follow me on Green Sugar. I shall see you either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday or Sunday. I'm just going to put it out there. Until the next time, peace.